This is Zhiyun Crane 4, and this is the all-new Crane 4E. Not much of a difference, except for the price. Today I'm going to give you my honest, unbiased opinion which one you should actually go for, and to tell you the differences, the capabilities, and of course we're going to go outside to test each one and how it performs in a real life situation. Like all my reviews, this is unscripted, unsponsored, so I'm going to give you my honest opinion for an everyday consumer like yourself. First up, the design. As you can see, both are exactly the same. They've adopted the new Zhiyun hand grip wrist support feature, but there are minor differences in these packages. Being the 3E, E stands for economical, I assume it is much more budget friendly. And what does that mean? Well, straight off the bat, let me show you what it comes in the box. The original 4 comes with adjustable wrist support or tilt handle, a quick release plate with a step-up plate, all the cables for your different cameras as well as charging, and this fancy carry case which fits everything in one bag. And on the 4E, everything exactly the same, except you don't get the wrist support and the adjustable tilt grip. This you need to purchase separately. It's not expensive. You can probably get a second hand from online, but if you want new, it's available on the website as well. I'll leave a link to everything in the description, so if you want to check them out, feel free to do so. It is affiliate, so thank you for supporting this unsponsored channel. Every bit does help. Ergonomics design, it's exactly the same. The only difference is they have removed this LED light, which is no longer available. Personally, I welcome the change. It saves a little bit of money to something that I hardly ever use. Now, of course, this does come with the matte grey finish. It is the only color available. So if you like the black and the more luxurious looking old matte finish, well, unfortunately, it's not available. And as a result, this is slightly lighter than the Crane 4, but the payload is still the same. Perfect. Now in terms of ergonomics and feel, well, both hand grip is exactly the same material. This is still using the same rubber material on both grips, so it keeps you dry in hot summer days, but not as cold in winter days. Overall material is still the same. This body is mostly made from plastic. Another minor difference, on the 4 you get one of these spanners. This is obviously helpful to tightening any loose bolts and screws for your mount. This is not available on the 4E. Now, if you turn it around, this is still the same layout, but the only difference here, you can see the rotating dial has now changed in friction levels. This is obviously personal preference. On the Crane 4, it is a lot more resistant, as you can see here, whereas on the 4E, it's a lot easier, a lot more smoother. Depends on what you like. Now moving up, the same layout, the same clearance, and the same quick release plate. As you can see here, this is from the 4E. I can use the same quick release plate on both of these gimbals because it's exactly the same. Now speaking of the quick plate, they are slightly different. Now if you look carefully, this is from the Crane 4 and this is the 4E. The mounting distance of your camera has been shortened, whereas on the 4 you get a much longer travel. Now you can obviously buy this plate, but to be honest, you probably don't need it given that most of the camera weight sits at the back anyways. Both plates are still quick release. This is the mounting plate for your camera. All you have to do is loosen the lever and then you can move it, and pressing this quick release, you can even take it off. So just mount this to your camera, and if you want to put on your slider, just do so, and then just tighten it like this and it will lock into place. Let's mount the camera. I'm using the Sony S3 with my Tamara lens, but I will be changing this to a G Master 2470, the first generation, which is a lot heavier and bigger. Nice and tight, and it doesn't block my battery. By the way, I am using a small rig cage. Now both gimbals have a gimbal lock, so let's unlock this so I can set this up. I've already got the base plate on here as well. Let's put the camera onto the plate. Let me show you how quick this is. This, slide and lock. Now if you want to put this onto the other one, loosen this, move it forward, take it off, place it on and lock. Just like that. Interchangeable and super quick. On the original Crane 4, you can press a button and you can remove the whole base plate and then mount it sideways so you have a vertical or portrait shot. This base plate goes onto the side, lock it in place, and I have a vertical shot. However, on the new 4E, it's slightly different. The bottom plate no longer comes off, but all you have to do, it's still the same principle. The base plate, sliding it off like so. You see, all I have to do is put this base plate on the side like this, put it in place, got yourself a portrait shot. Let's change to a bigger lens and see the clearance. So turn this on and I've already automatically calibrated this gimbal. The menu system, very similar to Zhiyun in the last couple of years. Very intuitive, 4 different sections, the mode, the balance, the settings, and info. In terms of modes, it's still the same. We've got pan, lock, follow, pan, follow, go, POV, vortex, and of course, portrait. In fact, you can quickly shoot portrait if you like in shotgun mode. This is quite heavy and strenuous on the wrist, so definitely get the wrist support. But if it's just a 1 or 2 shots, you can probably do this very quickly. But alternatively, I would probably suggest you to shoot in actual portrait setup. I'm gonna put this on. This is from the Crane 4. Of course, you can put the wrist support on the left or the right, depending you're right-handed or left-handed. This feels a lot better. Of course, this is adjustable, so you can move it up or move it down. I'm gonna put this on as well. Keep in mind, this is all optional accessories, so this is not standard. This is left and right adjustable, but at the same time, you can turn this and extend this out. Just lock it into place. Now you've got yourself a top-down shot. Now, of course, this is the mode button at the front, so you can just press this and it will automatically switch between the modes. Alternatively, you can also press the trigger button, like here, automatically go into go mode, which is super sensitive. Control wheel right now does nothing, but in the settings, you can change the control wheel to adjust your roll, to adjust your y-axis. Double tap to recenter, triple tap for a selfie mode. Now keep in mind, this does have Bluetooth, so the record button does connect to your camera, so make sure go to the website to see if it's compatible with your camera. But right now, it's automatically paired to my camera if you already done so previously, which I have. Now it should automatically just record. See that on the screen? Let's check out the clearance and stability. Set it to lock mode so you can see exactly how stable it is. Top down, not a problem. How far can I go? All the way to the front, right there, and it stops. If I go left, right about here is where most gimbals kind of hit its limit, so likewise. And if I go to the right, should be able to go all the way down. Here we go. Pretty simple. The gimbal itself have any issues, like right now I'm doing it manually, which is not recommended, but it's able to adjust itself pretty well. No vibration whatsoever. Double tap, it'll go back to center, and you're good to go again. Okay, to double tap, you go to FPV mode, and it should follow me around, just like that. Let's go again. Oh, that was a little bit fast. Oh, it came back. Double tap, recenter. Wow, that is pretty good, I gotta say. Looks like the gimbal and the algorithm is pretty good, so we're gonna go outside to test how stable it is on this setup. Like all my gimbal tests, I'm going to turn the in-body stabilization off and then run it at 70 millimeters, just to exaggerate any vibrations. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go one more with the IBIS turned off. And 1, 2, 3. Let's go running. 2, 3. Go. Same test with the IBIS turned off. There you have it, you've got the test from both footages. Let me know in the comments which one do you think is more stable. Personally, for my honest opinion, if you have a fairly heavy camera setup like the Canon C400 or the Canon C80, or if you have a heavy setup with a lot of parts and you need extra clearance, something like this with a lot of clearance is the one for you. However, if you only have a Sony S3 and with a camera lens like this one, during Weebill 3E, is actually my recommended. It's bang for buck, it's more than capable, and it shoots just as well. And it's cheaper as well. So unless you have a fairly professional cinema camera or something heavy, or you want to future-proof something longevity-wise, then this is definitely the one to go for. Look at this. I'm pressing down on this and wow, it's still working, not a problem. More honest, unbiased reviews on this channel coming to you soon. I'm George, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for staying to the end.